What's up, everybody? It's Strange Skull here again. Just gonna do a quick vid here. The new type of video I'm gonna try and do. It's called Skull Picks. And what I mean by Skull Picks is I'm gonna take you on a little trip through my very extensive graphic novel collection here of just different books of suggestions. You've seen him comment a lot in my videos and in Spaceman's videos, Chipper. I told him I'd do this because he asked me about, for people who've been out of comic books for years or just never really got into them, want to get into them. So I figure I'll just give people some suggestions on some books here. Probably going to do like maybe one book at a time, but since this is the debut episode, I got 4 here that I'm just going to suggest for people wanting to start reading comic books and just don't know what to pick, or just really not sure what's out there. Now, a lot of this stuff, some of the stuff is old, some is semi-new, like within the decade, but these are like the picks of stuff that I like to read, that I've read, and they're pretty good. So, the first one here is, I forget what year this is from, but this is, it's a Marvel comic here. I'll be showing it here in a minute here, but it's a Doctor Strange book. It's a graphic novel. It's Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, called Triumph and Torment. It's drawn by Mike Mignola, guy who did Hellboy. I can't remember if he wrote this, but he does the art. It's really awesome. It's a pretty good story. The storyline is, Doctor Strange was not always, he always called himself the Sorcerer Supreme, but this is the book where he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. He has like a tournament with a bunch of different mystics that have to compete for the Vishanti, so they earn the right to become the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, of our dimension. And pretty much it's like these tests of like wit and skill. It pretty much ends up down to Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange. And Doctor Doom kind of sort of sacrifices himself in the tournament, so Doctor Strange wins. But the thing is, the whole point of the story is the loser gets to ask the Sorcerer Supreme for one favor. And Doctor Doom's one favor that he asks of Doctor Strange is to help him get his mother's soul back from Misthios. And I'm going to show you the cover here real quick. Pause this. Right here. Torment and Triumph. Really good. I would open it up and show you the artwork, but I just don't want to get tested here, because I know like a lot of other guys who review comic books have been saying about getting copyright strikes from Marvel and DC, and I'm a small channel. I just don't want to deal with that fucking headache right now, guys. But Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment, very good fucking read. Not too long, but it's just great. The artwork is beautiful, and it's probably just one of my favorite stories with Doctor Doom, and one of my favorite Doctor Strange stories. So that's one for you. Another one, this is the first volume. If you guys like The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman, well, Robert Kirkman used to actually write things besides The Walking Dead, but now kind of got a little fucking lazy, in my opinion, and just kept writing The Walking Dead and canceled all of his other comic books. I got 2 of them right here. Invincible lasted a lot longer. That's what this volume 1 is here. But just, sorry for this little mini rant. Robert Kirkman pisses me off. I love Invincible. I love this book. This has really got me back into comic books, besides Wolverine with Enemy of the State, which is another good pick. But this really got me into comic books, and really got me into collecting these. The story of Invincible is, imagine you're 5 years old, and your dad sits you down, and he tells you, son, I'm an alien. And you're part alien too. And also, I'm a superhero. Basically, imagine your dad tells you he's Superman, because that's what Invincible pretty much is. His dad is pretty much like Superman, except his name is Omni-Man, and he comes from a race of aliens called the Voltrons. Pretty much they got almost all of Superman's powers, except no heat vision, none of that stuff. They're just super strong, pretty much almost immortal, and they're invulnerable. A bit, but he tells the main character, Mark Grayson, his dad tells him all this and says, you're a half-breed, not sure if you're going to inherit these powers, it might take a while, and then when he's like 14, he gets his superpowers, and he kind of starts crime fighting a little bit, and then his dad takes him to go get a superhero suit. But right here, Invincible, this is volume 1. This is one of my favorite characters from Image. Just one of my favorite books of all time. I love this character, Invincible. It's how I described it to people is it's Superman meets Spider-Man. That's what it is a lot in the beginning. Is Mark Grayson right here. This is Invincible. That's his dad, Omni-Man. There's his mom, and that's just him in his civilian disguise. This book, depending on who watches this, I don't know if I have any younger viewers, but this is kind of borderline PG-13 content. I'd put it, it's very graphic. His dad, they just rip people apart, pretty much, when they're fighting monsters. But, I'm not going to spoil it here, but not all is what it seems to be in this. Now, this is just the first volume. There's, like, almost 30 volumes of this. I almost have all of them, but I have a lot of the last final years of Invincible in the comic form. But this is a great read. And again, too, you start reading this, eventually you're going to get pissed off thinking, why did Robert Kirkman waste all of his goddamn time keep writing The Walking Dead when he could have just kept writing this? But the thing is, the artist who actually draws this, he's actually working for Marvel now, and he's doing Spider-Man, which is pretty goddamn cool, because a lot of times Invincible, and just a lot of the other stuff, it looks like they'd be in a Spider-Man comic. So, Invincible, another good pick. And another one, this is Robert Kirkman's other work that he ended prematurely, which really, really burned my ass, really. It's about another character, can't remember, Gary Hampton. He's a internet millionaire guy. He created like a tech company, almost kind of like almost kind of like the guys who did what the fuck was that record? Tower Records, almost. They start out like that. He starts out like that, and then he makes billions off of it, but then his company starts, like how companies do. They're falling apart. His marriage is strained. I think his wife cheated on him once. But him, his wife, and his daughter go on a camping trip. And I think, like in Washington State, I think, they really don't, I don't think they specify, but Gary Hampton gets attacked in the woods. And they get into a hospital, and he almost dies. But Gary didn't get attacked by a bear. Or not just a wolf. He got attacked by a werewolf. And they became the Astounding Wolfman. I love this. This is probably, out of the big two of Marvel and DC, I love this fucking book. I love this character. The artwork is beautiful. Not hyper-realistic, really like a stylized, cartoony look. I just love the look of Wolfman. That's Gary there is a... And also, too, he doesn't learn in the first volume, but he learns he's not just an ordinary werewolf. And it's not an ordinary werewolf that bit him. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's very interesting. And this is his buddy, Zachariah, finds him and explains how he's a werewolf, and just like kind of explains all of it, but he's a fucking vampire. And not really trustworthy, but again, read it. You'll love it. There's 4 volumes. it's worth the price if you can still find these. I'm pretty sure you could find them at all these. You could find them on Amazon or Books A Million at reasonable prices, or hell, eBay. Like, I just ordered The Life and Death of Captain Marvel, which once I get it and read it, I'll probably do a review of it here, but this is the first volume of Astounding Wolfman. Get it, you won't be disappointed. And to finish out this first episode of Skull Picks is one that'll make the Spaceman happy, because one of his favorite characters, and kind of one of mine, he's in the top 5. This is the first start of what really brought the Incredible Hulk in, like, the early, I'd say this was like, kind of around the time, like around 2002, 2003, or 04, when Civil War was getting ramped up in Marvel. And the one thing with Civil War is, well, what they kind of did leading up to Civil War in Marvel Comics was they got rid of certain characters. Thor died, they killed Thor off, which is, because everyone thought with Thor and this other character, if they were in the Civil War, if one side got both these characters, who the fuck could beat them? And that character is the Incredible Hulk. This is Planet Hulk. Written by Greg Pak. This is probably, I know the Spaceman loves the Todd McFarlane run back in late 80s, early 90s with the Leader. But if you want a modern Hulk story to read, Greg Pak. This is the Hulk. The storyline to start this out is the background is there's a group of Marvel heroes. They're called the Illuminati. It's Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Black Bolt. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of scatterbrained here. It's Mr. Fantastic, Tony Stark, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Professor X, and Namor. They kind of retcon this, saying this was from an event years ago, like back in, like, I think the mid-'80s, called Operation Galactic Storm. It's when the Kree and the Skrull brought their war to Earth. Now, all these, arguably the smartest, not necessarily most powerful characters. I mean, Iron Man's, the suit of armor, Mr. Fantastic, Black Bolt. Honestly, besides Namor, Black Bolt's the most powerful of them. Because all he has to do is just whisper a fucking word and all their heads explode. But they tricked the Hulk with an LMD, life model decoy of Nick Fury, to get him to go fix this satellite in space. But it was a trick to get rid of Bruce, to get him off Earth, because the eggheads all got together and calculated that eventually Banner would lose his shit again, and none of them could stop him. He would kill too many people, and it would just be a fucking disaster. So they got together, fired him into space, and this is in the first couple pages. They're going to send him to this planet, like this paradise planet where there's nobody that can hurt him. He'll finally be at peace. Well, all doesn't go as planned, because the Hulk is the fucking Hulk. He just goes apeshit, destroys all the controls in the ship, and it gets him knocked off course, and he winds up on this savage planet called Sakaar. He goes through a wormhole and winds up on this fucking planet. But when he lands there, he's the Hulk 24/7. But he's weak. They can cut him, he bleeds, he's not as strong as he was, because apparently going through this wormhole, it just does something to people, and it weakened him. But he can talk, and he can think. And he becomes a gladiator, and they force him to fight, and it's pretty much like the movie Gladiator. They view him as a hero. He's just like, I don't give a shit, I'm the Hulk, I'm just going to be the Hulk. And it's just, this was the first chapter in a long run of Greg Pak writing the Hulk. Then after this was World War Hulk, which is another great one. But this right here, Planet Hulk, awesome fucking read. Probably one of the best, if not the best, Hulk story. Just the artwork is just awesome. It's beautiful, and you don't really notice it at first. I didn't notice it at first. When you're reading the book and you're looking at it, the whole world of Sakaar, there's no green on this planet. It's all like reds, purples, and like browns. There's no green except for the Hulk and another character by the name of Kyra. She is like the bodyguard for the guy who runs the planet, the Red King. Kind of a dickhead. He's kind of like Joffrey off of Game of Thrones, if you guys know what I mean. He's kind of like that. He's the brutal dictator. He's just typical bad guy, but he has like this cool freaking mech suit that he uses to fight the Hulk. It's just awesome. To me, it has some of the best fight scenes the Hulk's ever been in. Just gorgeous. It's like Hulk meets 300 meets Gladiator. It's beautiful. And just Greg Pak just understands the Hulk. And it's like, it's his favorite character. And I guess he didn't think he'd be able to get to tell this whole story, but they just kept letting him go. And this, to tell everyone the truth, this revitalized the Hulk. Because at the time, before this came out, no one gave a shit about the Incredible Hulk. Same thing with Thor, which I'll get to in another video, is why they killed off Thor. Wasn't selling. Of course, Joe Quesada, he didn't like the character. He thought he didn't belong in the Marvel Universe because he's too powerful, which is bullshit. But, well, there you have it, guys. The first episode of Skull Picks. 4 good books here, which is Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, Torment and Triumph and Torment, Invincible, The Astounding Wolfman, and you can't go wrong with Planet Hulk. Hope you guys are doing good. I'll be on the Spaceman's channel to Saturday at 5. And for all you sensitive listeners, there's going to be a lot of fucking cussing. I make no apologies about it. This is just the way I talk. You don't like it, don't watch it. But, well, I hope I helped you guys out with some good comic pits. Let me know in the comments. And hey, let me know what you guys like to read. Discuss with yourselves. But again, this is Strange Skull here. You collectors, beat the fucking scalpers. Good night, everyone.